Yo, what's going on, E7 fam? I'm Sue, and in this video, I want to go over the Developers Express mail that was just shown earlier this morning over on YouTube. We thought we were getting a Metadata mail, but surprise, it's actually just a developer's commentary with Director Tak, who we first saw at the 7th anniversary event. And then now a new director here, who is, I believe, Director Heyo. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but that is the gentleman that you see here on your left. He's responsible for all the various different side stories, including the Freer Beyond Journey's End collab side story that we just got. They basically go over all of their plans in this video, talking about everything that's going to be coming in the October 23rd update, which is the same day that Chaos Zero Nightmare basically comes out, although that I guess is a day prior, but it's basically in the same time window. And then they also talk about all of their plans for November and December. So you know the drill. I'm just going to go through each of the things that was shown in this video, and I'll give you my 2 cents on them, what I think about them. So not really a reason to watch the intro. Let's jump into the first bit of content here, which is the Guild War tournament that they are going to be advertising. So I'm not somebody who cares a whole hell of a lot about Guild Wars. This has always been something that, like, a friend of the channel, Lucent Azure or Vic Chun, has been very interested in. I am notoriously terrible at this. I always appreciate it when somebody asks me for help with Guild War defense or Guild War attacks and like DMs or when I'm in voice chat, but I'm absolutely god awful at Guild Wars, so this is one of those things where I'll just be casually watching from the sidelines to see who the actual best tournament is in this tournament. I'm actually really pulling for Valky's guild, Veritas, because I know they've been busting their butts really hard to try to stay into the top 32 and be super competitive. I think Palladia, which is Vic's team, his guild, is probably like the clear front runner to win this whole thing, right? I don't really know a whole hell of a lot of the other top guilds, but those are pretty much the two that I have my eye on for this whole thing. So they kind of announced the rule changes here. So like when you get to the round of 32, there's going to end up being like a best of 3 for like the group stage, and then it'll move to like a single elimination bracket with some kind of like slight tweaks and changes that they'll do in like another update. And they also kind of showed off here the ability for I believe it's, we need to skip ahead. Yeah, here it is. So they have this ability where if you're not in the top 32, you have the ability to predict the matches, right? So you could be like, oh, well, I think it's Palladia versus Veritas, and or like that's what it's going to be, and I think it's going to be Veritas as the winner. And if you manage to get like enough predictions right throughout the entire tournament, they'll give you this like profile card badge. So hopefully, if you're somebody who's like a completionist that wants all the badges eventually, you got to make sure you at least kind of get it right. Hopefully this will be something that reruns season to season, and you'll have like a chance basically every 3 months to try to be the top prophet and get the correct badge. And then they also unveiled, I kind of glossed over it here a little bit, they're doing frames for the best guild, right? And then you'll get these other frames for places 2nd to 32nd. You'll get one of these guild frames that you could use. I should say they're player frames to kind of like show everybody like, hey, you know, I'm, you know, in a top guild, look at me kind of thing. And they also announced that the winner of the tournament will get some kind of lobby decoration for their guild. They are trying to, in the first quarter, do a update to this lobby system. So now it won't be the traditional lobby you're used to. You'll get like this new updated lobby, right, in the background, and you'll be able to, like, I guess, display various different trophies or items or banners, or the appearance will change. Like maybe the carpet's different. You get a completely different screen whatsoever based on your achievements. So they're kind of doing something a little bit more with guilds, making it a little bit different. I do think it's funny that they put Stark in the background here, by the way. You know, they're repping the boy. They're giving him a little bit of love because it's like, oh man, we recognize that he, people like him, but he's not doing the best right now. So that's pretty good. Like, it's a lot of like pairings, like, you know, Roz and Mercedes, you got Senya and then Alencia, then you just got, you know, Stark just chilling in the background. So I really like that little detail here. All right, so moving past that, they announced that we're going to be getting a new piece of side story content called Phantasmal Barrier. And, you know, I'll let the trailer kind of play the little animation, show it all.
I glimpsed the future, and this is not what I foresaw. I believe the word clueless is an apt descriptor for the likes of you.
Be not afraid. When it is all over, you'll return to nothingness.
The Zeno Robinson line.
Unbearably shaky.
Everything is as Zio wills it. I can't breathe. Why would you do this?
Will you accept what's handed to you? It is only when you are true to yourself that you are truly free.
So as I talked about when Setsuka was shown, that Setsuka, you know, she's from Nadalon. She is a shaman that can see the future. She serves the Emperor. That's basically eerily similar to Sharon's backstory. And then basically all of her fighting style, I was like, oh, that ties in with Celine and Corinne. When we saw Setsuka's side story when she was first released, there she was with Corinne and Celine, very similar. The Cursed Blade, just like Bloodblade Corinne was touched on. So I think that's pretty cool. But the part of the lore that I don't think they really touched on was like kind of her roots as like a, essentially, you know, a shaman that could see the future for the family. So I guess we're kind of getting that now in this new piece of content. Phantasmal Barrier, as you can see, it's coming next week. And they kind of explain it is story-based content, right? This is story-based PvE content.
죄책감에 사로잡힌 샤론이 악몽을 꾸게 되는데요. 본인의 죄책감이 만들어낸 또 다른 자아의 샤론을 만나게 되고 이를 뒤쫓는 과정에서 조력자 설화를 만나 그 악몽의 해답을 찾으려 하는 이야기입니다. 샤론의 악몽이 테마인 만큼 계승자분들이 몽환적인 분위기를 더 느끼실
What makes this kind of different, or I should say the same, is they kind of show it off a little bit here. But this is not only, like I said, story-based content, it's going to be very similar to the Young Senya side story that we got last Christmas. But there are a number of other like quality of life features that they showed off here in the video. The first of which are these like memory markers, and I'm just sitting here going, so you mean telepoints, which is what like literally every other game calls them. So now you have the ability, instead of having to walk everywhere, you'll be able to kind of fast travel to places that you've already been. And then they also have kind of changed the way that movement works, because previously you'd have to like scroll with your finger all the time, tap, scroll, tap, scroll, tap, scroll, and it was really, really frustrating. So now you can kind of pan anywhere you want on the map, and as long as you have vision there, it's not like, you know, fog of war, something that you can't see, an area you haven't explored, you'll be able to tap like across the entire map, and it'll basically just auto walk you there, which is super, super big change. And they show off all these changes with the Young Senya one, so as not to spoil the Phantasmal Barrier map, because they said that they put a lot of effort into like effects and things like that, that they want players to experience. They kind of make it like nightmarish. It almost feels like it's timed right before the week of Halloween, because they kind of want to give you the sense of that stuff. So I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, the other thing that they don't mention here, but it should be pretty obvious, I feel like, from just looking at the Young Senya side story being the example, is that this is probably going to get a rerun sometime in the next like 2 to 3 months, right? This is the developer update that goes over October, November, December. So you would think that if they made all these quality of life changes to the Young Senya like side story, that it's probably coming soon. So for those of you guys who did not get Young Senya the first time, this would be a good time to hold on to stuff, in addition to the other stuff that we'll be talking about later on in the video. I will say Young Senya, I think, is not particularly a great character right now. We'll see if she gets buffed between now and her eventual rerun, but her artifact is surprisingly way better than I gave it credit. I find myself playing it on more Soul Weavers than I thought I would, at least in the last like month or so. Right? It's a surprisingly good artifact to make frontliners way bulkier than they otherwise would seem. So I just kind of want to like interject my thoughts there. Also, Phantasmal Barrier, it'll run until December, it looks like, at least this event. And this event will give you access to some extra stamina and spectral cores every single day. So that's a pretty big deal. All right, it's actually really funny, the dates they have listed up here. The event runs from the January 1st of 2022 to November 20th, 2025. They give the exact dates in here somewhere. Let me back it up slightly, see if I can find it. All right, let me see. Yeah, there you go, December 4th. So you have basically like 5 weeks, give or take, with this event to pick up the extra 120 stamina and 2 spectral cores. So that's a lot of extra farming, which is really, really nice. And for actually farming for spectral cores or just doing hunts, like if you're just doing the otherworldly stuff, you'll get this currency, these like gold leaves or whatever, and you could use them to exchange for some pretty crazy stuff. 5-star selector, so you get an imprint if you're a veteran, or pick up a character if you had your eye on if you're somebody that's a bit newer. 2 artifact selectors, which I think everybody could take advantage of. That would be super, super awesome. You could pick up whatever you're missing, maybe a bloodstone for PvE, finally get the last copy or 2 of an artifact that you might need, like Holy Sacrifice, in order to get your knights in tip-top shape. And there's also a deck selector, which for new players, it's a great way to just have a character accessible and usable right away. And then obviously for us veterans out there, what I like to do is I like to find a character that has at least some use case that I haven't already built, take a plus 15 version of it, and then take the old one that I haven't built yet and just use that as an imprint. So yeah, pretty good. They also showed a new class summon system. This is, I should say new, because it is basically like a slight tweak to the way the class summon works. Previously, you could get like Rocket Punch, which is Moas, or you could get Benimar's Tachi, which is Strike of Aspiration. Now, they're bringing it back, and this time is for Thieves, but it's not a repeat banner artifact, right? It is going to be a brand new Thief artifact called Master of the Nightmare. And it increases your attack by up to 20% based on artifact level. And after using a basic skill on the caster's turn, has a 20 to 40% chance to grant an extra turn, and kill will be activated once per turn. So this is essentially RNL with twice the chance to proc, but only on basic attack skills. So yeah, I don't know how good or bad this is. It could be very, very strong. They probably have somebody in mind for this, but you know, I don't play a lot of Thieves, so this is one of those ones where I'm not quite sure how good it is. They show kind of here in the banner Janua. I think that's their way of being like nudge nudge wink wink, because if he uses his S1 when he's in rage, he gets an S3, and if he takes an extra turn, then that's pretty backbreaking, right? So that's like probably the best usage I could think of off the top of my head for the character. But the major thing that they're doing, besides just bringing back this banner with a brand new artifact that no one has, is they recognize that we've been complaining about kind of the artifact pity, so to speak, for this whole system. Basically, Moas would come and be on the banner, and everybody would need it, but we would call it the mother of all scams, right? It's not Moas, the artifact like they thought. We would call it the mother of all scams, because it's like, hey, I can throw 121 summons on this banner just like any other banner in Epic 7, and I am not guaranteed the reason I'm pulling the banner. For a character, I'm rolling for Freerin or Janua or whatever characters on the banner that I actually want at the time, and if I get the artifact, is just totally random. How the class summons worked is basically at 121 summons, you would get like a random knight for the Moas banner, or a random Soul Weaver for the Cure All Magic Wand barrier, and you were not guaranteed the artifact. The only thing you were guaranteed with the artifact was being able to buy one for 240 Powder of Knowledge in the shop, which kind of sucked, right? But now what they are doing is they have these summoning milestones on the class summon. So you'll get some extra bookmarks, basically some extra summons at the 30, 60, and 90 marks. And at the 120 mark, you will get one copy of the artifact. And again, you'll get another copy at the 240 summon mark, in addition to being able to buy a copy actually in the Powder of Knowledge shop. So with these changes, you effectively have the ability to get 3 artifacts if you're willing to put 240 summons into the banner, as well as 240 Powder of Knowledge, which is a pretty huge change. Honestly, makes it a lot better. It makes it absolutely worth it to summon for this banner when it comes around. Now, I don't know if Master of the Nightmare is actually a good artifact. That remains to be seen. But like, if Night class comes back around with 3F, then that would be a pretty good thing. And in fact, you could see they say here, kind of somewhere here, I believe it's at the end of everything. Right. I'll let director talk here kind of explain it.
그리고
Also, when I play World Arena these days, there are times I find myself regretting
이거 좀 많이
not pulling more for certain artifacts that were released a while ago.
다음 직업
We will do our best to prepare and present the next class summon well. So like my that last line, I'm probably reading too much into it, but he basically makes it seem like we are aware that 3F is kind of needed for World Arena. So next time we do one of these, I'll prepare well. It kind of like, I feel like it's his like subtle way of signaling like, hey, we know 3F's a problem. It's coming. It's coming soon. So it would not surprise me if with these new class summons, if this does well, like a lot of people summon on it, it does well for them financially, that they'll probably make the next one come very, very quickly, right? They're also talking about quality of life improvements. A lot of this stuff was shown off in the 7th update, but they kind of show you the specifics now. So they're changing the filter and the sort UI. So one of the things that you can now sort by is you can now sort by equipment set. So you could be like, show me characters I have on counter set. But you could also take it a step further and say like, oh, show me characters that are on revenge set with immunity as the 2P set. And then that way you could basically find all of your characters like that. Show me all my characters on speed immunity. Show me my characters that are on like, you know, torrent immunity pen set, like 3-set combination, like how you would play Tori, right? Or maybe even like a super nuclear Little Queen Charlotte, things like that. So you can search by that now, which is pretty nice.
해당 세트를 장착한 용만 필터링 됩니다. 이렇게 되면 같은 세트를 장착한 용들만 관리하기에 용이하실 거라 생각하고요. 또한 포함 개수로 설정을 하시면
yeah, I'm trying to find the other. There's another thing that they mentioned here somewhere. Yeah, here we go. They added another thing that you could search by. You could search by normal effects, I think is the language that they use to describe it. So what it is instead of being able to be like, oh, I want to search for characters that have the grant immunity in my team or give attack buff or things like that. There are characters like Lone Wolpeira who give combat readiness to the team, but that's not searchable. This new kind of like catch-all term will let you kind of filter by characters that have beneficial effects to your team that are not easily represented with like a buff icon. So that'll let you kind of see like, okay, hey, I need a combat decrease character. You'll be able to find it under that filter, which is a nice thing. Also, for gear sorting, you can now sort by multiple different substats. So you could go like, oh, I would like to show me only gear that has attack percentage, crit chance, and crit damage on it. And that'll let you kind of much more easily be able to figure out like, this is a piece of gear I want for this character, which is super useful because I always say during like Fix It Friday and stuff, like your tank really wants like health percentage, flat health, effect resistance, speed as the sword. So you can go to your swords and be like, show me ones that just have this combination of subs, and then you can kind of pick and choose from there. And it'll also, you know, help you kind of identify what you're not, like what you don't have, right? So if you're looking for like a specific combination of stuff and you sort by that and it doesn't show up in like the necklace or the ring slot, it's a pretty good indicator that is basically what you should be farming. So I think that's a really, really good change. And you could also now sort by like highest and lowest values for a thing. Before, it's kind of like you'd have to go sort by like max enhance or like equipment score, and then just set a substat as like the first thing, and it would show you the highest one at the top. But not always. Now you could explicitly search for just like, show me my highest attack sword or show me my highest defense body. Like these are things you can now search by, which I think is it's a quality of life change that's been needed for a very, very long time. The one thing though that they did not show here when it comes to sorting characters and equipment is you still can't sort by zodiac sign, which I think is kind of like a big miss. The last sorting thing that they talk about here in this section is that now you'll see recommended artifacts for characters using player data. Basically, whatever like the most popular artifacts for a character, you'll now see when you go to equip this like green thumbs up. That's to help new players. If you just don't know what artifact you should be trying on the character, then it'll kind of display this little icon here. So all of this sorting stuff is slated to be due out next week. So you guys will see this like very, very, very soon. All right. So the other thing that they talked about here is we have a new side story coming. And this is everyone. Do you remember this illustration? And everyone jokingly goes, "Well, yeah, bro, because I've been around this community for 7 years. The number of times people have posted like to Reddit or like on a Discord server, just this picture being like, why Booba Elf not playable? Well, surprise, Booba Elf is about to be playable sometime this November. So I'm expecting this is Saria, right? I'm expecting her probably to be a limited character, considering her involvement in the story and just generally how popular she is. Like, people have always wanted Big Booba Elf literally since the beginning of the game. So they kind of give us a little bit of a preview here. You can see some of her art. They also show off a little bit of her S3, like her unfinished S3. Yes, you can see that's kind of like the S, sorry, the S, that's the S2. Yeah, here we go. Here's the S3. I expect her to be a mage or like a soul weaver with animations like this. But yeah, so Saria is coming. I'm kind of in shambles because I don't really have that many resources left after Freerun kind of like depleted me. And that's gonna be really bad because, as you'll see in a second, there is another thing they're going to show off. Moonlight Theater, Nadalon Academy Season 3. Alright, and this is going to unveil a couple of things. First off, as you can tell here, there is going to be the limited secret that won the art contest is going to be part of Nadalon Season 3. They kind of explain her story here a little bit. She works with Peyra. Like, she's basically a professional motorcycle rider. She retired from being a professional, and now she just works as like a helper in Peyra's like mechanic shop. But she's basically going to be a part of the ML side story, the Nadalon Academy side story, along with the ML version of Surin. We already saw her in Season 2, but both of these characters will be part of Season 3 of the ML Theater. And they will also be, or I should say the third season of Nadalon Academy will be the final one for the Moonlight Theater, right? So they're basically wrapping this up. We're moving on from Nadalon Academy, which honestly, thank you, because like, I hate the high school setting. I do think that the character designs like we've gotten, like Bossa Runka, Bystander Huayong, right? Disciplinary Prefect Arya, Lone Wolf Peyra. I think the characters look great. I just don't care about a high school setting. And it's super weird that Sigret is like a professional that's just like hanging around with high school students. I'm sure they'll try to make it make sense. Like, I get it. There's a motorcycle gang and they were like, well, we have a motorcycle Sigret. Where can we kind of put her? It's kind of like an easy insert for them. You know, they don't have to develop like a side story about why Sigret is a motorcycle rider. It's just, hey, she's here in this world. Just get used to it. And she will be a limited summon, and it's coming sometime, I believe they say in December. So you'll get this character in early December. It might be late November, but I'm fairly confident that they mentioned that it will be in December, and she will be one of 3 characters that's tied to this. Another one being the ML4 Surin that was kind of shown again in the second season of Nadalon Academy, and was also shown in the last developer blog where they showed off all the upcoming characters before Setsuka came out, things like that. So that animation, that character has been done for quite some time. The other character that they showed off is this right here. This is the school nurse Yulha. So this is our next Moonlight 5-star, and she is a major antagonist in the final like chapter of Nadalon Academy Season 3. I actually really like her animations that they showed. Right, she's sitting here with like a cup of coffee. She kind of spins like a as her idle animation. I guess this is like a knife or like a scalpel or something. I think that's really cool. And then they also show off a little bit of her S3. Right. Here it is. I think this is so cool. Here's kind of her S3 animation. She's got the shock pads to resuscitate you. I think that's really, really cool. So you can see here's kind of like the storyboarding for the whole thing. Yeah, I think this is really, really cool that this is what she uses on you. My assumption is that because it's a school nurse, she's a soul weaver, but you never know. It would be really, really funny if Yulha was a light knight. But yeah, here you go. So school nurse Yoha is like the mastermind behind everything. As you can see, she's brainwashing students and turning them into enhanced humans. Right, so that's kind of the whole deal. Maybe that's why, I don't know, I haven't been paying too much attention to Nadalon High. Maybe that's why Taeyu's here or whatever have you. I don't know. Like I said, the Nadalon High story didn't really do a whole lot for me. Here's, in case you want to see, here's the in-game appearance of the cigarette with the flag. I'm not like a super big fan of the live 2D here, but it is what it is. Here's the concept art in case you want to see what she actually looks like. And then they go on to kind of explain her story. I'll show off a little bit of her S3. I believe it's like right. Let me see. Yeah, they show it off a little bit here. Yeah, as you can see, limited covenant hero. Now I guess I must have skipped it. Ah, here it is. S2, so it looks like a buff. You're killing me, SG. Where my concept art? But yeah, there it is. So she's kind of like a start the race character, like, who's one of those girls that, like, kind of swings the flag downwards to signal the start of the race. So that's kind of like her S3 animation. Again, not my cup of tea, but it is what it is. It's what we got. And like I said, they do also say that this is where they are concluding. The Nadalon High will be done with this after December, so if you hated it, you won't have to see it anymore. And this is, they said, as you can see, many of you voiced a strong desire for the existing Moonlight Theater stories to be concluded. So they're wrapping this up, and then they're going to table back to the other ML theaters and start wrapping those up as well, kind of finishing up those storylines. And then the last thing that they kind of show off here in this developer blog is the Orbis Gladiatorium, like the preliminaries here.
소개할 업데이트는 지난 쇼케이스에서 모도리스 쟁탈전으로 소개했던 오르비스 결투제입니다. 오르비스의 각 나라 수장들은 외우조의 위협에 맞서기 위해서
So it is story content, but also not really. They got this one is like really weird, the Orbis Gladiatorium, because it's like it's PvE PvP content. So it has to deal with Schneel and Raz, and it does have some kind of story basis, but basically it's a tournament where Raz is going to enter it, and he's going to fight against various different story NPCs, each of which has their own team. Basically, you're going to be playing Arena, but you don't get to use your own characters. You have to use pre-assigned characters. Like, they give you a roster of characters. You see the defense. You have to kind of formulate a team with the pre-built characters they give you. And then also there's like some perks that they show off here, right here. Tactical devices. So it's kind of like you pick your 4 pre-built characters, one of these tactical devices that gives some kind of passive or like activated component in order to turn the tide of the fight. And you'll be against the defense, and they also will have tactical devices. So it's kind of like a different version of Arena. And again, you're not using your own character. So I think that's what makes it interesting, is that you have to kind of come up with your own strategy in order to defeat it. And you're not just relying on needing like a specific OP ML. You don't have to play against Harsetti or Lady of the Scales or any of this other nonsense. It's like, hey, it's Arena with potentially pretty normal characters. At least that's the hope. And then they'll be running this. I think this is like season 1 or whatever. And they kind of announced that later on there would be more of these. Yeah, as you can see, the main story will unfold in Orbis Gladiatorium called The Habits next February. So it's kind of like, here's the preliminary version of it with some prequel story to this bigger thing that's going to be coming next February. Maybe they'll kind of like change the season. It'll be different fights. I see this kind of like a puzzle to solve. It's kind of like a significantly better version of what was it? Tree of Genesis from Chapter 5. So I'm thankful that this is here. I know Tristan is going to absolutely love this content because he's big on the PvE puzzle solving portion of the game. And he's also a massive lover of regular Arena. So I think this is like pretty much just tailor-made for him. I'm more wait and see. I really despise regular Arena, but if it's set up in this way where it's more like a puzzle and I have preset characters and I kind of got to use the old noodle up here to kind of figure it out without having to play against some of the more annoying portions of the format, I think I'm willing to give it a shot. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much everything that they cover. I should also note at the end of the video, they do give this coupon code that you could use to get 1,000 energy and a bunch of equipment, accessory, and artifact charms. So do make sure that you pick that up. Other than that, there's not really much else to say. There's a lot of content coming for Epic 7 next week, next month, and the month after that. And then, of course, we have Chaos Zero Nightmare in just a few days. I'm not going to show it here, but in case you guys haven't, this horror character trailer that they showed off for CZN, right? Like, it's really, really good. It's actually like a fully animated trailer. It makes me really excited for character reveals in this game. So if you want to check it out, you can just search up the horror character trailer for Chaos Zero Nightmare. And that'll be coming out this Tuesday. So if you were so inclined, make sure you get subscribed, because I'll be covering that game pretty heavy for the first week. And if I really like it, it'll be folded into my normal content schedule, just like with Epic 7. Anyways, if I missed anything or you have anything you want to share, feel free as always to let me know down in the comment section below. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later now.